I'm Adrienne Giffen, and this is Now You're Talking. Parenting in the digital world can feel overwhelming, especially when you're balancing a career, raising teens and preteens, and trying to keep up with it all. Screens are constant, and sometimes real connection feels out of reach. This podcast is your chance to pause and breathe, a space for stories and insights that bring encouragement, perspective, and the reminder that you are not alone. Today's episode is a powerful reminder that success doesn't have to come at the cost of family, and that presence is still our most valuable currency. I'm joined by Willie Donnellan, a family-first entrepreneur who has built businesses rooted in culture, community, and belonging. Willie shares openly about raising children in the digital age, managing screen time, surrounding yourself with good people, and why family values must always come first, both at home and in business. This is a conversation about mentorship, authenticity, and remembering that life really does move in a blink. Let the conversations begin. Willie, thank you very much for joining us today. I think you're the epitome of busyness with 3 young boys and an active, thriving business and a relationship that you put as number one. How do you manage it all in the digital age? How do you keep it all together, Willie?
I guess the answer is good people. That's it. And, try not to get too overwhelmed. And quality time, prioritize the time, spend good time with your family. Don't just see them when you see them. Don't be afraid to take time off. When I was a little bit younger, Adrienne, and I should start by saying thank you for having me on your podcast. I am
my pleasure. My pleasure.
And I'm very excited to do this. So thank you. Yeah, surround yourself with good people. But try not to get too overwhelmed. Honestly, it's not for everybody. I am absolutely wired differently. I'm from a very big family. I think you know that.
Yes.
My parents had 10 kids, grew up in a tiny little village with a couple of thousand people in the west of Ireland. I'm the middle child because unfortunately...
Middle of 10?
Yeah, well, our oldest brother before I was born had an allergic reaction to medication and passed away when he was 5. So my parents had 9 more kids after that. And there's 2 boys and 2 girls older than me and 2 boys and 2 girls younger than me. And I tell you one thing, there was no screen time back then. It was get outside the back. My mum had locked the door and she'd say, come back when it's dark. So there was no issues with navigating the digital age back when I was born in 1983. But you know what? We have wonderful memories. It was the best upbringing you could ever imagine, and I wouldn't change a minute of it.
Wow. So how do you take that experience and transfer that to your own family of 3 young, active boys?
Well, I think that helped me and Laura, my wife, a lot with navigating the digital age, because we see, we turned out okay and we had no screen time. I think back then, one of our neighbours might have had a Nintendo 64, or I think another one was an Atari. These things were Stone Age when you look back, or when you see what we have nowadays.
Yes, yeah.
But we don't have any of those, any computers, I guess, PlayStations or Nintendos in our house right now. Although our oldest, Irla, is 8, and he is now asking Santa Claus for a PlayStation. So we're getting there, unfortunately. But we have, I guess we've delayed it for this long, but it's challenging. It's challenging for sure. Our 3 kids are 3, 5, and 8. So we're, getting into the thick of this, and so many people, I guess in Irla's class, for example, they have computers, and, they're talking about the latest and greatest games, and you feel, how do we balance that?
Yes.
Do we get it for him? Maybe we should. We don't want him to feel left out either.
Yes.
So it's tough. And you know what? I think Santa Claus will bring him his computer this year, but we'll have to make sure that we have not a policy, but a plan in place for screen time.
I was going to say, what does that, have you and Laura talked about that? What does that look like?
We did talk about it, not in a while. No, but we will talk about it before this happens. So in the next couple of weeks. But when we talked about it in the past, I remember being at an event for work, and then this was the topic, and And it was just so scary. I was scared after coming out of it. I said, what are we going to do? How are we going to protect our kids? What can we put in place? And I went on to AI myself, so more screen time.
Yeah.
And we have to lead by example too. That's the most important part. Absolutely. But I created a little plan, like I said to my chatbot, keep it super simple. Please give me a very short plan so I can protect our kids and make sure that they're not having too much screen time. And, there was little tips and tricks there, like none an hour before bedtime. We don't do it in the morning. So get up in the morning, we get our breakfast, we get dressed, we go to school. There's absolutely no screen time in the morning. So maybe after school, when the homework is done, you can have an hour. Our youngest is 3, so he's not even asking for screen time right now. I flew to Ireland with him about 3 weeks ago, which is almost a 9-hour flight, and he had no screen time, 0. And it didn't really bother him. And I will say it was an evening flight as well, so he slept maybe a little over half of the flight. But still, when he wasn't sleeping, give him some snacks, colouring books. I must say, Air Canada and a lot of the airlines now are great. When they see you with the kids, they know you're coming. They're prepared. They give you a little bag. You got your colouring book. You got your crayons, and they want to make sure that your kid is busy, so he's not driving everybody else on the plane crazy.
Right. Yes, yeah.
Which we've experienced too. And then maybe sometimes when it gets to that, you got to pull out the screen time and say, hey, the planet's gone out the window for a few hours here. We got to keep everybody sane. But we try and avoid as much as we can, and that was, I was very proud of our youngest to go all the way to Ireland and to not have any screen time, not even ask for it. But he's not there yet, And our 5-year-old is not even there yet, really. But our 8-year-old is like, he wants it.
Yes, yes. And once you introduce that into the family, then your 3-year-old and your 5-year-old are going to be open to a whole new world. Yeah. Probably. So that's going to be, you're going to have to manage it probably sooner than you've had to manage it with your 8-year-old.
Yeah, it's scary, Sometimes our oldest will steal my phone, if he sees it left around, and he knows the code, and he gets in there and he gets into YouTube and he's watching videos, and then I'm looking, and it could be, I want a break from my phone, from my screen time, so it could be, 10 minutes or 20 minutes before I realise, where did I leave my phone? And I find him in a corner somewhere sitting down watching it. And when we allow him to have some screen time, let's say on YouTube, it's YouTube Kids. So, the material is censored and we know it's safe. But when he gets into mum or dad's phone and gets onto YouTube there, it's not censored and there's all types of content there, and a lot of it is not true. And sometimes I see him watching stuff and it makes me angry and it makes me sick. I'll give you a very quick example.
Sure.
One day he said to me, Dad, did you know that Ronaldo and Messi love Pepsi? And I said, no, Irla, I didn't know that. And I can guarantee you one thing, Ronaldo and Messi don't drink Pepsi all the time. And he said, I seen it on YouTube. And I seen the ad, and he did. And it was just, it was false news. It was not real. And it showed Ronaldo, drinking Pepsi all the time and saying how much he loved it. And kids see these kind of things.
Yes. Yeah. And now they're so impressionable.
It was stuck in his head, and now he wanted Pepsi. And I've seen interviews after football matches where Ronaldo will actually take the Pepsi or the Coca-Cola or, the energy drink and take it off the table and get a bottle of water and replace it with water. Set an example.
Good.
He doesn't drink those things. But it was scary. That was just a very scary moment, I suppose, to see that this is what is on YouTube and this is what our kids are looking at, and they're being misled.
Yes.
And, that is somewhat harmless, but there's a lot of stuff out there that's not harmless. So we got to monitor it. And we do. If Virla says, can I watch YouTube on your phone? Yeah, no problem. But I'll sit beside you. What are we watching? What are we watching?
Yes. Yes.
So I can see what he's going to watch, what he wants to watch, what he likes to watch, and I know what he's doing.
Yes.
Give him, 10 or 15 minutes and then say, is that enough? Let's go outside. Let's kick some football. Do you want to go to the playground? We like to ride horses as well. So when we grew up, we were outside all the time and we kept active, and that was better than anything. And we try and do that as much as we can with our kids.
Terrific. Great. Great. And you have them in things and activities that are really important to them. And individually, they have their own way of expressing themselves too. Through, I think you told me riding, but also boxing.
That's right. So one day I just said to them not too long ago, and I've done this with Irla a few times and Tiernan a couple of times, but with Shay now, yeah, he's just 3. So I set them all down. I said, okay, let's just, check in and see, are we all happy with what we're doing? We can try and do 5 things now, but realistically, when we get older and we want to get more serious about the things we love, we're not going to be able to do 5. We'll be very lucky if we can do 3. But just let me know right now what your top 3 sports are, what you really, really want to do, what you love more than anything, and we'll write them down, and your name's going to be above them, and we'll stick them onto the fridge. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
So Irla said, number 1, boxing. For example, that's what I want to do more than anything else, and he does that every week. Tiernan, our middle guy, he said, number 1, I want to do hockey. So he just loves ice hockey. So we write that down, and does number 2 and number 3 as well, and we stick that up in the fridge. Shay, our third guy, number 1 for him is hurling, which is a sport we play in Ireland. We play it a lot here now. We've been playing it in Ireland for 3,000 years. It's very like lacrosse and hockey combined.
Oh,
and he loves that. And we have a youth team in Vancouver now, which is great, with about 75 or 80 kids signed up. We just started a couple of years ago, and it's just taken off.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
So it's a field sport, and he loves that. So that's his number 1, hurling, and whatever else after that. So that's good. We know what they want to do, and we try and, focus their energy into doing those things so they're enjoying what they're doing and they're not bored.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. And so they're passionate. You're igniting that passion within them at a very young age, it seems. And so with you, we're having such a busy business. You have a construction business and you have 8 restaurants. Is that correct? 8 or 9?
That's right. We have 8, but we have 3 more. We have a plan to open up a lot more. We have 3 more on the pipeline right now. We will open about, we don't know yet, but hopefully 20 to 30 next year. And then 50 a year, 50 to 60 a year. Our goal is to open 250 or 30 across Canada by the end of 2030. Small, unique, authentic, still Irish pubs. Yeah.
Yes. So I want to, a couple of things I want to ask you is, how do you manage that? Because I'm sure you're pulled in many directions from a business perspective, but then you also, Laura is so important in your life as your partner, life partner, and then your 3 kids. So how do you manage all of that when you have so much pulling at you and such a big vision to...
Yeah, well, the first things that come to mind is you got to be disciplined. You got to have great people around you. I think number 1, the most important thing is having great people. I read a book one time, Adrian, that said, from good to great. How do you go from good to great? If you find that you're stuck here and then you just can't get there, the long and short of it was surround yourself with the right people. So having the right people on the bus. I'm blessed with, I always say I've been very lucky in life. I was born into a great family with lots of love, and I got a great start in life that way. Number 2, I met a great partner, Laura. So Laura is my partner in life and business and everything. And, that's probably the biggest decision you'll ever make in your life. So you got to try and make the right one. It's not easy. And, sometimes you think you have the right one and you don't, but I was lucky and I got the right one.
Yes.
Number 3, we ended up in Canada. That's the 3, I said, being very lucky in life in those 3 things. And we had great opportunity here. As you know, we came here in 2009 for a month. And we were traveling around Canada. We were going to Toronto next. And of course, everybody in Vancouver said to us, don't go to Toronto. Like, you got to stay here. This is way better. And we were like, yeah, I think they're right. Look at the mountains. Look at the ocean. It's clean. It's safe. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Of course, all major cities have their problems. Don't get me wrong. You hear the stories, but I've never felt unsafe here in 17 years. We love it. That's why we stayed here and never got to Toronto and never traveled around Canada. And we had no plan on living outside of Ireland. We're from two really tight families.
Yes.
We never thought we'd live outside of Ireland.
Never did?
Wow. Ever. Never. Yeah, and I remember I would call my mum for the first 3 years every weekend, and she'd say, when are you coming home? Then she came out after 3 years and she saw herself what Vancouver was like and what BC was like, and she never asked me again. That's a true story. Yeah. So, and my dad came, and my dad never had a passport up till then, imagine. And he came and couldn't believe how beautiful it was, and came and visited some of our construction jobs. They never asked us to come home after that. But look at surrounding yourself with great people. Be disciplined. I always say schedule your priorities, don't prioritize your schedule. So putting the right things into your calendar. Sometimes we're putting stuff into our calendar. We shouldn't even be wasting our time looking at it. So just put in things that have to happen. And sometimes if something is really important and I cannot miss it and it has to happen that day, it can't even be moved, put a star beside it. So I know that happens no matter what.
priority. Yes.
Yeah. So just, schedule your priorities.
Yes.
Don't be prioritizing your schedule. Sometimes the stuff in your schedule is like, this is crazy. Yesterday, I was looking through my schedule with Kira, my assistant, and Kira is my gatekeeper. She's unbelievable too. Having the right people around you. She protects me. Often people will try and get a hold of me and she says, he's not available. I'll take a message and I could be sitting beside her. But having a good gatekeeper as well, and someone that can help you set up meetings or move meetings or things like that. But that's the key really. But just having good people around you, really good managers, people that you can trust 100%. I think business and life is all about trust. I always say trust in relationships, but look, one doesn't come without the other. But if you can trust the people around you and they trust you, a lot of our people have been with us a long time, and we would never attempt to do something big and bold like our Shamrock Storehouse concept across Canada if we didn't have the right people around us that we could trust. And we've spent years doing this, Adrian. We've done lots of market research. Actually, there's an opening for 1,000 of these locations across Canada right now. I don't know if you know that there's more people of Irish descent with Irish heritage in Canada than there is people in Ireland in total. So like they say 18 to 20% of Canadians have Irish descent.
Yes.
So let's say that's 5 million. That's what there is in Ireland. If you go across the border to the US, there's about 35 million Irish there. And our plan is to do Canada, to go across Canada with the Shamrock Storehouse concept, the little Irish pubs, and then to go to the US after that.
Fantastic. So tell us, Willie, a little bit more about the whole concept and what makes it so special.
So I think, when I came here, I was surprised with the pubs or bars, the Irish bars and restaurants. They were very big and they were beautiful. And, I would talk to the owners, I'd get to know them and, they'd become my locals and they'd say, we spent $10 million building this out. And I would think that's the craziest thing in the world. The best pub in Ireland, the oldest pub in Ireland, you'd build it out for, maybe $500,000. It's clean, don't get me wrong, but it's got dents everywhere. It's got lots of character. It's scratched up a bit. It's got a low ceiling. It's got dark lighting. It's cozy. The furniture might be a little bit wonky, but that's a traditional Irish pub. It's not, you come in and you see the most beautiful millwork in the whole world that costs $10 million. And I'm just thinking, you're never going to get that investment back. I feel so sorry for you. And if you give me the place for nothing, I wouldn't take it because it's not a traditional Irish pub. We grew up as well in the Irish pub business in Ireland. So Smith's of Gastown, for example, our pub, it's there beside the legendary Irish Heather, it was the legendary Irish Heather, but it's now next to the Blarney Stone, which is like one of the oldest pubs in BC. Smith's is the third in 3 generations. So my uncle had one before me and my grandfather, but they were in Dublin. So we're steeped in hospitality on my mum's side. My dad's side is in construction. I'm a carpenter by trade, and that's how it came together.
You married the two. It's quite amazing.
And they work great because, I remember when we built out our first one in 2016 on Granville Street, Donnellan's our surname.
Yes.
It used to be the old stone temple, and people will remember that. That place was legendary also. It was very sad, Adrian, to see people come and take on leases on Granville Street. People that I got to know, they were our neighbours, and I was there. We used to have a day crew running that I would run myself and a night crew to try and get it renovated as quick as we could. We had put everything into it, Laura and myself, all of our savings. And at the time, we had 2 partners. We don't have any partners now, but we had 2 partners.
Yes.
Who were experienced in the hospitality industry, who helped us out and were great partners. It still took us 18 months to renovate the space. First thing we had to do was sign the lease. Then we had to go through all the pre-con stuff, the permitting and design and, get our drawings and the submittals. And that took a long time. Then you start your construction. Of course, the second you sign that lease and you turn the key in the door, you're paying. You got bills coming in.
Yes.
And our rent there was about $20,000 a month. And imagine we were 18 months, so about $500,000 on rent before we ever opened our doors. And Laura said to me at one point, what are we going to do with you? Like, our money is gone, our savings are gone. We still haven't the doors open. And I said, look, but I didn't know what to say. I said, Laura, we're very close. It's going to work, and worst case scenario, if it didn't work, we'll have to go back to Ireland and just spend the rest of our lives with our family. And she was thinking, oh, okay, it's not too bad, But I didn't know what else to say, but thank God we opened the doors and it was a huge success. we were people who had operated pubs in Ireland. I opened my first pub when I was 19 years of age in Ireland, and I've been self-employed since. So we've operated pubs in Ireland. Really. Yeah. We've operated pubs in Canada. We would like to think we know what we're doing. And the reason we'd done it, when we came to Canada, Laura said, no more pubs. We're not opening up any pubs. Or I guess when we realised we were going to stay in Canada. And about 2016, early 2016, I was looking at pubs. And she was saying, stop it. Stop looking at pubs. And I was looking at them and I wasn't telling her. Then I found this location and then I begged her to go and meet the realtor and look at it. And I was out on site pouring concrete and she went and she loved it. She said, this has potential. And I said, well, can we do it? But the reason I wanted to do it was because I seen the other pubs here and they were pulling pints of Guinness in one go. And that's sacrilege in Ireland. If you'd done that, you'd be in big trouble. It takes 2.5 minutes to pull a pint of Guinness. So you got to pull it and you got to let it settle. It's a process.
Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of other factors.
Education. Yeah.
There's a lot of other factors. You got to have your keg in the keg room in the cooler. It's got to be there and you can't be moving it around. It has to be in the one spot. It has to be settled. It has to be at a certain temperature. There's so many factors. And I could see that people weren't doing this. They would pull a pint. I've been served pints of Guinness in Vancouver, pulled in one go and left up in front of me. If you'd done that in Ireland, it would never happen. Put it that way. Ever. Yeah. It very serious mistake. But you'd have no customers. And these places were doing that. They were wearing kilts, and they told me, well, in Ireland they wear kilts. And I was saying they don't, but, the kilts look nice. I was trying to be polite. But, it was so far away from a real Irish pub, but yet they were busy and they were in good locations and they were making money.
Huh.
I just seen a lot of opportunity there. So I convinced Laura in 2016 to take on the lease in Donnellan's. We opened it in 2017. Crazy story about when we opened it. A real quick story. Oldest boy was born 10 weeks early. He was only 3 pounds when he was born here. Thankfully, caught up in the first year and had no complications. And he's as tough as nails. He's a boxer now. And real sharp and a great character. But we had our official opening on the same day as his birthday in August, and we were supposed to be cutting the red ribbon at 4 p.m. and instead I was cutting the cords down at the Women's and Children's Hospital 10 weeks early. He was born. It was the craziest thing you've ever seen.
Wow.
And Laura had gone in with contractions and they said, it's okay, go ahead. We know today's a big day and all your family are over from Ireland and the news reporters are down there, go down and open the bar. Nothing's going to happen. And I went down and I was at that Donnellan's and the phone was ringing at Donnellan's. I was upstairs making sandwiches for the big party. It was the nurses at the hospital and they're like, get back here. And he was born at 4 p.m. and my brother Charlie was over from Ireland, my oldest brother, with my parents, and he had to cut the red ribbon at 4 p.m. at the pub. And I was cutting the umbilical cords down at the Women's and Children's Hospital at the same time. Isn't that crazy?
Goodness, that is crazy.
What are the chances? Wow. 10 weeks early. And his name over the door in that pub. And we said, look, he wasn't missing the party and that's it.
Oh, isn't that a great story? Oh, that's fantastic. I just want to know, how did you convince Laura to go from absolutely no pubs to a vision of opening 300?
I guess, again, she felt confident when we had the right team around us.
Yeah, okay.
When we had no pubs, we had no team around us, no hospitality team. With this vision, this concept, we have people like, I'll mention one gentleman in particular, Pat Parker, on our advisory board. Pat Parker spent nearly 20 years as the vice president of McDonald's. So he's going to help us roll out this concept. Another gentleman who just started with us, John Gilson, he rolled out 200 Cobb locations and helped them do that across North America. So these people are on our team now. So, if you surround yourself with the right people, you can avoid making a lot of mistakes, and I guess they'll help you avoid making the mistakes that they made too. And you might be able to get to your goal a little bit quicker. And, time is money. And if you can do that, do it. And that's kind of our motto. So I guess, but even at the first one, we done the first one, it was a side it was like a little side hustle at Donnellan's, but it turned into a serious business pretty quickly. And thank goodness now, even today, it does really, really well. Bigger location, almost 300 seats. Our Shamrock Storehouse concept, remember though, is only, 50 to 70 seats. So it's a smaller concept typically.
Yes.
So you can imagine it's like 1,500 to 2,000 square foot, the bar area. It's intimate and it's got low ceilings and it's cozy. We've got traditional Irish music or lots of different live music. And we say, it's all about culture, connection, community. So we're really leaning into our culture, something that we're really, really passionate about.
Great.
Connection. I think connection is the most important thing in the world. Look at COVID, when we couldn't connect, how depressed people got. People turned to social media, went down all these rabbit holes, and I heard some very scary stories, and I saw a lot of my friends, leave social media altogether. Some of them coming back, but they done some things that scared them, and they just cancelled their accounts.
Yes.
And then community, just bringing the community together. I think they're more of a community centre, and we have amazing community centres here, and I've never seen anything like it. I love them. Hillcrest, for example. You go up there, it's phenomenal. But, I'm concerned about those community centres. How long will we be able to keep them with the way development is going? Developers have their eyes on them. Some of them don't do well. Some of them don't make money. And developers are knocking on the door. I'll give you so many 100 million if you give me this site. And that's what concerns me. So I think by opening up these locations, we'll have a small little community centre in each little neighbourhood, and it's a gathering place for people. People are not expected to go there and drink a pint of Guinness or a glass of whiskey or a glass of wine. But if they want to do that, great. But you can go there and you can have a non-alcoholic Geo cider. You can have a non-alcoholic Guinness. You can have a cup of tea. You can have a coffee. We have lots of people. I'll use our flagship, our original location in Denman, down in Davy and Denman, the Shamrock. It's right across from the laughing statues there. Yeah, yes. Across the street from that. Yeah, 1184 Denman Street. But that place is like the best pub in Canada, in my opinion. I've never seen anything like it. We don't go there anymore because we can't get in the door.
That's fantastic.
And that's the reason when we bought that in 2019, it was doing a certain amount of sales, and now it's doing over 3 times that. It's still the same footprint. It's still the same amount of seats. We just changed some things by putting in good people, tweaking the menu, bringing in entertainment, making it more authentic, and it just, no more than Donnellan's, it just exploded. So we want to share that magic. Actually, a politician wrote a lovely piece on it, and I should send it to you, like a poem, and they called it Shamrock Magic, and it was the most beautiful piece I've ever read. And it explains to you why the Shamrock storehouses are so special. They wrote this piece on the one in Dunbar, actually, the second one we opened. It's on Dunbar in 29, just the old bells and whistles. Yeah. And they wrote a beautiful piece, and it just said, that was the title of the poem, Shamrock Magic. And it really hit the nail on the head. And that's why we do it, to bring people together, as I said. Yeah. I think the 2 most important things for me, for my mental health, are socialising and exercising, in that order. I'm a people person. I like to talk to people. I think it's very important. Yes. Coming from a big family, I guess that's probably part of it too.
Yeah, being the middle.
Yeah.
You're the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have all of the middle child attributes as well. Don't get me wrong. And I see it in Tiernan, our middle child as well. The same way. I could totally full of emotion. And
I'm a middle. Yeah.
Very loving. Are you too? Yeah.
I'm a middle too, yeah.
And I talk to so many people about that all the time, and you can just feel the connection immediately. Yes. But I just think and exercising. I love going to the gym. I'm a member down at Toronto City Club, and I go to the gym there and I swim there, and I just couldn't do without that, Adrian. I have to get that every week, and if I don't get it, this week has been crazy because I was away in Chicago for a few days and I haven't been there, and Laura will say, go to the gym. You need to go to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
socializing and exercising, I think, are the most important things. So that's that connection part with the Shamrock Storehouse.
Well, that's a perfect segue into my board game. Now you're talking, because one of the things as a mother, as a grandmother, when I see people at restaurants and they're all on their phones, so they're alone together, it scares me. It scares me for the future of humanity. So I was inspired and it just came to me to create this board game, and it's connect the dots with conversation. And I was wondering if could I please ask you a few questions from it?
Absolutely.
So
what a great idea.
Here is the board game, and it is going to be available first quarter of 2026. So it's being manufactured right now, and will be here soon. So what I would love to what is a saying in a family of so many kids? What is a saying that is core to your family values growing up?
Saying, I think something that my mother would always say to us, family first. Very, very simple, but family above everything. And she instilled that in us from a very young age. And I must say it worked. We are so close. It's unbelievable. And Laura says to me, that's not natural. How could you all get on so well? Like, surely to God, some of you don't talk. But
yes,
we're very, very close. And she was adamant that we always put our family first and looked out for each other. And I guess, it did work. It really did.
Yes,
if there was an opportunity to have an argument over something, we would say no,
Yes.
Blood is thicker than water, they say.
I say that to my kids all the time.
Yeah. So it's a big bad world out there. It can be. And you have to, look after each other and look out for each other.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, in a way, that's what you're doing with all your pups. You're creating this community. You're creating a family. Even if people don't have their biological family here, like you did with your own family right now, but your other family is away and back home in Ireland.
That's
right.
So
you're creating family away from home for people who may be in the same situation. That's what it feels like to me. So you've taken that and you've made it even bigger and continue to do that so people feel connected.
That's right. And that's you're dead right there. And that's why I always say lean into your culture. I have a very good story and I'll tell it very quickly. A friend of mine here who is doing really, really well, he came here, and a lot of Irish came here with the mentality or the attitude that, we're away from Ireland now, so we're not just going to go to the Irish pub, we're not going to look for the Irish, we're going to go and we're going to keep away from the Irish community, and we're going to go and spend time with everybody else, the Canadians and other nationalities. And when I heard that first, I said, oh, that's interesting. But I didn't think it was wrong or anything. But it was great to hear him talk and make a speech one time, a few years later, about how hard his first few years were in Canada and why that was. And he made this speech, and it was exceptional, and it was a great learning for me and I think everybody else in the room. But he said, when I realised I need to get into the Irish community, they're my people, and I can spend time with them as well. I can spend time with everybody, and I need to lean into my culture. And when he'd done that, he said, job opportunities started opening up left, right and centre for him. People wanted to help him out. When he was he had a couple of jobs, sorting mail and doing some errands for the first few years. And he said it was very hard for him to make good money, to get on top, to be passionate about what he was doing. Yes. But when he leaned into his culture and leaned into the Irish community, that opened up other doors. And he said he started getting positions that he really enjoyed and that he was passionate about. So that was a good lesson.
Yes, yeah. And you said in that 15-minute clip, and I'd like to put that in the show notes, and I'd also a day in the life of
thank you,
Willie Donnellan, and also I'd like to put that Shamrock poem as well in there. But you talked about bringing people together, not only just in your pubs, but you bring people who are looking for jobs and who have just come into the community for the first time and they don't know who to connect and where to go. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah. I think I mentioned a while ago, since I'd done that video now, it took me years to do it. And thanks to the Canadian Dream podcast for, I guess, being so persistent and ensuring that we did it, because it was a lot of work, especially for them. I think they arrived at my house that morning at shortly after 6 a.m. And that evening, I think it was 7 p.m. when they left. And they were like, wow, I need a few days off. But and imagine all the editing they'd done after that, and they were awesome. So big shout out to them.
Can you please just tell a little bit about that community that you've created to help people?
Yes, that's right. I think the video, a gentleman called me, or I called him back, and he was looking for work.
Yes.
That happens every week. Last night I was just messaging with another contact, and his son is in university in UBC, and he wanted to meet, and his dad messaged me, any chance, William, I know you're super busy, any chance you could meet with my son? He wants to become a barman. And in summertime or when he has no university and to make some extra money, and he'd like to talk to you to get some tips, and maybe sometime you might have something for him. And I always say yes. I'm like, absolutely. I'll meet him for a coffee. I'll meet him on Friday. I'll meet him at our pub in Kitsilano, Heinz's, because it's close to UBC. It'll be easy for him. I will have a bit to eat, and I'll answer any questions he has. So I love doing that. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely everything. And I think that no meeting or no conversation is a waste of time. I do believe that. And I find when I do these things, you wouldn't know what would come from it in the future. This young man, I know him a little bit, and I know he's a lovely guy. And I'm looking forward to meeting him. And, he'll probably maybe end up working in one of our locations. And,
yes.
His friends will hear about our locations, and we'll have more customers, and it'll bring more people together. And, it's a snowball effect. You wouldn't know what would happen. And if nothing happens, that's fine too. But yes, I try to say yes when people want to meet like that. We'll meet for half an hour or 45 minutes. We'll have a chat. Or else I'll say, if I'm really stuck for time, I'll say, let's do it over the phone. I'll give you a call this day, this time. Have your questions ready, and I'll help you in any way I can. And I say to people as well, don't be afraid to shoot me a message. Just shoot me a WhatsApp. Whenever I see it, I'll get to it. If I'm in a rush, I'll just leave you a quick voice note. But I'll answer the question for you. I'll help you. People were very good to help me when I got here, and I would like to reciprocate the same for others. Because my mum always said, it costs nothing to be nice, and it doesn't cost. Yeah, it doesn't cost anything.
Two sayings that are.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? That's two sayings that you've just told me that are core to who you are in the world.
Well,
starting from your mom.
Yeah.
Those are true momisms that you're carrying forward in life.
My mum and dad probably were the biggest influence in my life, and
yes.
Big shout out to them. My mum is probably the nicest woman in the world. I was actually in Chicago and I met somebody there, and this guy said to me, he said, William, I have to tell you something. Your mum is the nicest person in the whole world. And he told me some stories about when they were kids and how she would look after them. And I've heard that from so many people. I call her the Mother Teresa of Ireland. And my dad then is just never drank, never smoked, imagine. And he didn't have time. He was so busy and worked
in construction
harder. He was actually a contractor. He would do some construction, but mostly cutting corn, silage, cutting hay, all that kind of thing, pulling beet back in the day. But he is known far and wide for being the hardest worker that anybody has ever met. So I guess a great work ethic from my dad, and I get a lot of empathy and love and compassion from my mom's side. So it's a good mix.
Wow. Yes. That's fantastic. I'm conscious of your time. Can you answer one more question?
I can indeed.
And then, so when was the moment when you were forced to grow up faster than you wanted?
I think this is the answer. I was the only one in my family that didn't go to university, didn't get third level education. I went and done a trade instead. So from an early age, a teenager, I went working in construction. And then I had to grow up pretty quick, because my dad is a no-nonsense guy too, and he said, okay, fair enough. You want to do this. We're not agreeing that you don't want to continue with your education, but if you want to be a carpenter and you don't want to be in school, that's fine. And I was lucky. I was pretty bright, and I would pass exams in school without doing any study. I think I went for a long period of time without even having a school bag, and my parents wouldn't have known that. Hope they don't see this. But I just had no interest in school. I found it boring. I found it hard to concentrate. It didn't excite me. And it wasn't much of a challenge. And when I went into construction, they said, fine, that's what you want to do. You can do it. If I wasn't a carpenter, I wanted to be a vet. I love animals too.
Yes.
And they kind of left me to, okay, we're not going to be buying you a vehicle. We're not going to be getting you a job. We're not going to be giving you any pocket money. So you want to do this, you go out now, you get a job. Okay. You fend for yourself. You support yourself. You're going to have to buy a few tools. You're going to have to work hard, and it starts now. And that was probably when I was 17 or 18 maybe. And if I was doing it all over again, I would do the same thing. I enjoyed every minute of it. I learned a lot. In Ireland, when you're doing your apprenticeship, it's very different from here. Here, when we came to Canada, I couldn't believe that, we get paid for every minute, every hour we work. This is insane. This is great. I remember getting picked up by the guys that I'd done my apprenticeship with, and they would pick me up initially because I had no vehicle, or else I would meet them at a location, walk somewhere, and they'd pick me up on some corner. And you'd be picked up as early as possible and dropped back as late as possible, and you got one payment for the day. And it could be, $50. I think when I started, I was on £127 a day. Sorry, a week.
A week?
Yeah, a week. I'll never forget that. And you got what you got. And as our kids say to us now, you get what you get and you don't get upset,
So they're now giving that back to you?
They're giving that back to me. The first time our oldest Irla said that to me, I loved it. I thought it was great. So we use it all the time now, even out of context. And, when you shouldn't really say it, when someone is annoyed, you say, you get what you get and you don't get upset. And that's the way it was, and it was a great learning curve. And it was a great foundation for me to build on.
Yes.
And I was never afraid of hard work after that. You worked hard. Whatever you got, you got.
Yes.
You weren't happy with it, maybe you have to go somewhere else and get another job, where somebody would give you more money. But you needed to prove yourself before you were considering something like that.
Boy.
But it was great. And I loved the carpentry and I love construction, and it's still my greatest passion. Construction, carpentry. We have a little workshop out the back of our house, and I love going out there with the boys, and that keeps them away from the screen time. And we'll build a little stool, or we'll build something, and or at Halloween we're out carving pumpkins and just doing fun things.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
great memories.
Great. Yes. And it sounds like that you were a true entrepreneur from the moment you were born. The fact that the school was too constraining and it didn't sort of excite you.
Both my mum and dad are entrepreneurs. So my mum had a grocery store. So we grew up serving in that grocery store. When we were able to walk, someone would come into the store, be like, okay, go out there and serve them. So we learned all about customer satisfaction and service and responsibility. My dad as well, self-employed, is a contractor.
Yeah.
We got it from both sides.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So words of wisdom. What are some words of wisdom that you can share with parents who are in a demanding career or demanding business, and words of wisdom that parents may be struggling with, things that you've already sort of been able to manage?
So people often ask me if you were to give one piece of advice, and I typically would say to them, surround yourself with good people. Mm-hmm. And my youngest brother, Sean, was a very smart and successful guy. He often says, your net worth is your network. And that's so true. So again, back to people. So when it comes to kids, somebody said to me one time, give them every opportunity, send them to a good school, and just make sure that they're hanging around with good people. They're friends. And I think that's the most important part. So of course, I didn't go to a private school. And I guess it was different because we weren't in a big city. It was a very small little village. And we kind of knew everybody. But in these big cities, these schools are huge. So just keep an eye on your kids and see, what are their friends like? Are they hanging around with good people? We're blessed with the school that our kids go to close by our house. And I was just talking to somebody about it last night. We had a little gala for our football club. And they invited the kids, even though it was on at night time, and they gave them little trophies. And it was so cool. And somebody said, we're so lucky with the community we have and with the school we have, because they're in the same school as us. And I said, we are. The parents are all nice. The teachers are nice. They're all good people. And I've had no bad experiences, thank God. So try and give them every chance by having them hang around with the right people. Mm-hmm. Focusing or funneling their energy into sports that they love and that they're passionate about, because then they have a chance of being successful at them. I always say, you won't be successful at anything unless you love it. You have to love it, because if you don't love it, you won't give it 110%. And if you don't give it 110%, you can't be successful. So, small little things like that. The small things are the big things. You don't have to complicate it. And then spending time with them yourself as well. Try and spend quality time with them. And when you're spending time with them, be there. Don't be on your phone. Don't be distracted. Be present in that moment. I think that's very important. When our kids, get up in the middle of the night and come into our bed, I'm absolutely delighted. I'm hoping they'll come in. I'm like, come in here, get in here beside me, give me a cuddle. And I love that. I embrace that. I'm not saying, get out into your own room, because I know very soon they're going to be big and they're going to be gone, and they won't want any cuddles. You know, they mightn't be as affectionate, and you know how quick the time goes.
It's a blink. It's a blink. But it's hard to imagine it, though, when you're in it.
Yeah, it is.
I know that now, looking back. Yes.
Yeah. So give them lots of love.
Yeah.
One thing, like, you know, I think with the first time my dad said, "I love you," but it was just the way they were back in the olden days of it, the traditional Irish. Nobody was too affectionate. You wouldn't hear "I love you" or giving you a big cuddle. It was awkward. Like, your dad's going to say "I love you." I'm like, Jesus, don't say that. You know, that's weird. You know, but I'm the opposite now. I just, you know, I love giving them a cuddle. I give them a kiss every morning, and you know, just saying "I love you" and have a good day, and you know, be kind. You know, be kind today.
Yes. Yeah.
And just little things like that. I think that's it. There's no secret sauce, you know. You just have to do your very best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Willie, thank you very much for sharing all that information. I could keep talking to you for ages.
Likewise.
I appreciate that very much. So thank you for your time today.
You are very welcome. And thank you for having me on the podcast. I was delighted to be invited, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment to sit with what stood out. Because the small moments, the ones we're tempted to rush past, are often the ones that shape everything. Willie's reminder to lean into culture, stay present, and build community at home and at work is a powerful invitation to lead differently in a screen-saturated world. If you're a parent, a leader, or someone trying to balance ambition with what truly matters, I hope this episode gave you permission to slow down and choose connection. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for valuing conversations that matter. You've been listening to Now You're Talking. Parenting with a busy career while guiding kids through the lure of screens isn't easy, but meaningful connection is always worth it. Take a moment to start a conversation with someone you care about. It could be the highlight of their day. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and let the conversations begin. Now You're Talking.
I'm Michelle Abraham, and we are honored to have Adrienne Giffen's Now You're Talking podcast on our High Vibe Podcast Network. For more High Vibe shows like hers, head on over to highvibepodcastnetwork.com and grab your free gift from our gift vault from all of our hosts. Until then, stay high vibe.